What's going on, everybody? This is your girl, Chantel Shink.
And this is Crystal Levette.
And you're listening to Conversations at the Compound.
Let's go.
Yes, always excited when we get to talk about things that matter to us and that matter to culture. We're so excited to have you here listening, those of you out there who are listening into this podcast. We're just all about talking and communicating and getting understanding and giving our point of view about the things that are happening and just the conversations that we have within our own lives and with our own circles. So
right. I feel like you and I, we have a lot of conversations, or there are a lot of conversations that happen here at the compound, with just our incredibly productive space. Mm-hmm. And when we have them, I say to myself, man, people should be hearing this.
Right.
You know, I feel like other people need to hear what's being said. So we decided to make that available to the world. So I'm excited. Great conversations that we're having, great conversations that we will be having. And today is a much needed conversation.
Definitely. There's so much going on in the world today. Like, we are in a space and in a place that the world has never been in before. We've never seen what we're seeing before. And this is just new territory and new waters that humanity is having to navigate through.
Right. And it's crazy because we were just here talking about the craziness that we're experiencing with the current pandemic.
Yes.
We are still in a pandemic.
Rona is still on the loose, okay?
And I think someone told me that officially today marks 100 days from when we first had a case in the United States.
Well, in New York, I think it was.
Right, which is the United States. So we are, 100 days in, officially in a pandemic in the United States of America, where lives have been lost, the world has changed. Our normal is not what it used to be. We're experiencing a new normal where late night television shows are filming from home. Commercials are being edited from home.
Right.
TV talk shows are being done from home.
Yes.
People are doing a lot more shopping from home. This is our new normal. And we were just talking about that.
Yes.
Now, here we are doing another episode with completely different current events that have transpired in addition to a pandemic.
Yes, Rona is still on the loose.
She's on the loose.
Rona is still on the loose, but you know what? I believe that as a world and by the grace of God and the mercy of God, we'll be able to get this thing contained and abolished. That's the prayer. That's what we're believing for. And so it's crazy that we're in this space where we have to be social distancing.
Right.
There are CDC guidelines for how we can interact in business areas. I mean, we're in LA, we're still at staying home. We still have the stay-at-home orders in place. New York is just now today beginning their phase 1.
Right.
Some states have been on lockdown and in a state of emergency longer than other states.
Right.
But it's still happening. And so within this space of being in the pandemic, some crazy stuff has popped off.
Right.
And it has made news of the pandemic secondary.
Right. Which is crazy.
That's crazy in itself. Because what could be bigger than a virus on the loose in the world that is killing people and that is causing us to wear masks and all the things that we have to do because of it?
Well, tell us, what could be bigger than that, Chantel?
Girl.
Talk about it.
Jesus. Listen. Police brutality.
Okay.
Racism.
Mm-hmm.
White privilege.
Wow.
Black people.
Wow.
Just wanting to be treated civilly. I'm not even saying equally. We need to be treated equally, and we are fighting for equal rights. But right now, we're at the it's like we're rewinding all the way back in time just for the basic civil rights. Just wanting the rest of the world, America in particular, to be civil towards Black people.
So let's drive it home. So right now, in addition to the pandemic, we're talking about recent events. We are talking about the death of Ahmaud Arbery,
okay,
who was hunted by a white man and his son and shot and killed. in a local neighborhood in the South in Georgia.
So they weren't police, right?
They were regular
people.
These were civilians who decided to take the law into their own hands, who saw black men jogging in their neighborhood. They are claiming that they thought he was someone that was in a construction site in the neighborhood. They felt threatened or were concerned. So what they did was they decided to go home and strap up,
right,
and grab legit firearms,
right,
hop in the truck, one on the back,
and they went to go hunt.
And they hunted him. They hunted him and they shot and killed him.
Now, that sounds a little bit familiar.
Right.
This same thing was happening 100 years ago, 50 years ago.
Right.
Except they were hunting them down and then stringing them up on trees,
right,
and lynching black people, civilians, not law enforcement. And we're still back at that same place.
Right. And they were hunting, killing black people, hanging black people, brutalizing black people with no arrests and no convictions. So Ahmaud Arbery happened earlier this year, and the video went viral, causing an arrest. Prior to this video going viral, he was already dead. Wow. The government knew about it. The police station knew about it. District attorneys knew about it. And yet, there had not been any form of an arrest. And it's only because this video went viral and people began to make noise and to say something about it that there was even an arrest made. Now, we're talking about issues, like you said, that have been with us for a very, very long time, and injustices that have been happening, and there have not been arrests. And let's just say we get lucky as a people and there are arrests, there have been zero convictions.
No convictions.
So that was Ahmaud Arbery. Okay. He's not the only one.
Okay, then we have Breonna Taylor, 26-year-old medic. She's a medic in the medical field. At home with her boyfriend in her apartment after midnight, and police officers raid her apartment and end up shooting and killing her. So now we go from jogging, right, to being hunted and being killed. He had Ahmaud Arbery had no weapons on him. And then from jogging, we go to a situation where a woman is in her home.
Right. So now they're coming inside your home, violating those rights, and killing you in your own home.
In your own home.
Have there been any arrests?
No.
So that means there definitely haven't been any convictions.
Right. Okay. So that's just horrendous in itself.
Now, we're not even talking about Philando Castile. We're not talking about Trayvon Martin.
No, Eric Garner. No, right. We're not even talking about that.
These are all scenarios where black people have been brutalized. They have experienced injustices by police or scenarios and have lost their lives. And there have been no convictions and barely any arrests.
Nope.
If there are arrests, no convictions. So all of that has been going on in our nation.
Right.
And now these things have happened in our nation. And then there was a straw that has recently broken the camel's whole back, his legs, his ankles, his neck. Okay. And what we're talking about is the infamous scenario. People are now calling it assassination, the infamous lynching, the infamous murder of
execution.
Of George Floyd.
Right.
And if you don't know, which you probably
don't know, then you need to get yourself together.
Right. If you don't know, that's a mess. And you should be ashamed.
Right.
Because you should know.
Okay.
All right. This is a situation that has happened here recently in our beautiful United States of America, where a black man was detained by the police, and he had already been handcuffed and, restrained. So he was not resisting arrest.
Right.
He was placed on the ground, stomach down, on his face, where there were 4 total police officers present. So 3 police officers were standing by who have also been sworn to protect and serve. And they watched as their brother in blue put his knee on a black man's neck. And really, it would have been wrong to do this to any man.
Any man.
But he put his knee on his neck. And while his knee was on his neck, George Floyd cried out, letting the officer know he couldn't breathe.
Right.
Letting the officer know his stomach was hurting.
Right.
Letting the officer know, that he was in pain.
He needed water. He's asking for water.
He said, "Help me." He even said, "You're gonna kill me." And he cried out for his mother.
Right.
This happened for over 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes. He had his knee on his neck. He cut off his breathing, and ultimately he died.
Gosh,
George Floyd died due to this officer taking advantage of his badge.
Yeah.
He took this man's life in public, in daylight, with witnesses. He knew he was being filmed. He had a crowd of people around him.
Jesus.
There were other officers present, and he knew this man was not fighting him back, and yet he felt he was justified and he was completely fine in cutting this man's air circulation off and killing him.
What's even worse is that while he had his knee on George Floyd's neck, at a certain point, he stopped breathing.
Right, his body went limp.
His body went limp. The normal average human being would get up. I mean, the average human being wouldn't even have been doing that in the first place. But this dude, he continued to keep his knee on George Floyd's neck after his body had went limp. Then he finally got off of George Floyd. They checked for a pulse.
Right.
They just threw him on his back, checked for a pulse. Did not do CPR. Did not do anything.
Right.
And just basically treated him like an animal.
Like an animal. And so, coming off of Ahmaud Arbery, coming off of Breonna Taylor, and all the other things that have happened and transpired in this nation, the world, the black community is 100% tired. We are fed up. We are completely over it.
Angry.
We're angry. We're upset. We're hurt. We're devastated. Tired of being scared. Tired of being tired. Because these were men who swore to protect and serve. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the video, there's nothing in that video that looks like protection or serving. It was murder, flat out. And the world's in an uproar.
Yeah.
And we felt like we've been talking about it.
Right.
All right. And so we felt like, you know what? We needed to take this platform that we have, our podcast, and to talk about it and discuss it more. And hopefully open up some new, dialogue and really exposing some stuff. And so we're actually using this scenario to discuss the heart of the matter and what we've seen, which is being able to recognize who's for you and who's against you. Mm-hmm. In the George Floyd situation, those police officers were supposed to be there to keep order and to protect.
Right.
And we're supposed to believe that police officers are there to help us.
Right.
And when I say us, I'm talking about people, citizens, and I'm also talking about African Americans, black people in America.
Mm-hmm. Minorities.
We're supposed to believe that these police officers are here to help.
Right.
But time and time again, they have proven that they are not for us and clearly have made us feel and have clearly done things to show that they are against us.
I guarantee you, if you put three people side by side, three black people side by side, and ask them what they feel like when they see a police car pull up behind them, even if you're at a stoplight, right, and the police officer just don't even have his lights on, nothing.
Well, nowadays, even if you could just be sitting in your front yard, you don't even have to be in your car.
Right. But I believe there should be a sense of calmness,
right,
and peace that comes over you when you know that protection is there.
It's not.
That does not exist.
It does not.
Listen, it's one thing if you riding dirty.
Right.
Don't got your license.
Right.
don't got your registration. Your registration is gone and all. You know, got that.
Man done had a couple of drinks.
Right.
I don't know.
And if you riding dirty, that's one thing. You could be. I can understand being kind of,
anxious. Right.
Yeah, but. If your insurance is straight,
yeah, girl.
No broken tail light,
no warrants
out there. Your license
clean.
It's clean. You good. You not suspended.
Right.
Then you shouldn't feel anything if the police officer pulls up behind you. In the black community, we also say the popo.
Right.
If you see the popo, 5-0, all of that. But most people of color do not feel safe when they see police officers anywhere.
Right.
Anywhere. And that's a big problem.
And this problem, what it has done now is sparked worldwide response.
Right.
Worldwide. So what's happening now, if you don't know,
right,
but we should all know, is we are seeing mass gatherings and mass protests around the world.
Right.
At one point, we could say around the nation, but now it has sparked such an anger,
an outrage
where people are protesting around the world. And of course, recognizing and asking people to recognize and state the fact that Black Lives Matter. And who would have known?
Who would have guessed?
Who would have knew that standing up and making that statement would be so difficult for some,
right,
and would spark such a response from people that you thought understood this cause.
Right.
What is so hard about saying Black Lives Matter? Unfortunately, as a result of all of this, there are blatant reactions and opposition that is coming to a person that makes a statement, Black Lives Matter.
Right.
The immediate response for some is what?
All lives matter.
Right.
Okay, that's not what we're talking about, though. We're not talking about all lives. And so this discussion today is really, we just want to delve into the responses that we are personally getting and we are seeing worldwide, mostly nationwide in America,
right,
to just that statement. Now, the first thing is that me personally, when I say Black Lives Matter, I'm not necessarily referring to a movement,
the organization,
or organization.
Right.
Me personally.
Right. Me too.
I'm talking about just the statement saying that the life of a human being matters.
Right.
And because Black people are human beings and they are being targeted and treated unjustly, being murdered and killed, and people are allowed to walk away free, that Black lives don't matter in America.
Right. Clearly. And how could they, Chantel?
Right.
Like, let's go back for a minute. Okay? Let's think about this. How could they matter? When we live in a society that is built on
the backs
of Black slaves,
actually Black kings and queens that were
taken,
right, and manipulated and brainwashed into thinking that they were slaves,
right, and told they were slaves,
and made to be slaves or die,
right. So we live in a nation where at one point a Black person was not considered a human being.
No.
We're living in a nation where at one point a Black person was considered property.
Right.
And was bought and sold and traded as such.
Right.
We're living in a nation where only thing that mattered was being a white human on this earth. That was the only thing that had value.
Yeah, you didn't have to even be a good white human.
Right.
You could be a piece of trash white human.
Right.
It's just the color of your skin made you worthy.
And made you better.
Right.
That's our foundation. We live in a place where a Black man was told he was a boy.
Right.
A Black man was not a man. He was a boy, or he was an animal, or he was a monkey. and other terrible, wonderful names we could go on and on that I just won't give life to.
Right.
That's the world that we're living in. We're living in a world where the white man, you, white man, because listen, we're keeping it 100% real. And I could make the disclaimer, oh, I have white friends, blah, blah, blah. It's not even about that. I'm just stating the facts.
Yeah.
That's just the facts.
Right.
And I love everybody, but these are the facts.
Right.
We live in a nation where a white man could take a black woman at his own will and rape her. We live in a world where black families didn't matter. A white man could take a black son from his mother and father and sell him to another white man and his plantation or whatever.
Right.
That is the foundational truth of America. And I gotta say this because I get so annoyed, me personally, with the people who want to say, oh, well, Jews were slaves. Oh, well, Indians were slaves.
Right.
Oh, well, the French were slaves. I don't know. I believe it, probably. But we live in America.
Right.
And we are discussing American issues and American history. So I'm not taking anything from the struggles of other countries, but I don't live in that country.
Right.
I don't live in Germany.
Right.
I don't live in India.
Right.
I don't live in Asia, where there could have been injustices there as well.
I'm sure there were. Yeah, there were.
And there probably were. And I probably haven't named all the countries where there have been injustices. And if I were living there and there was an injustice that was done, I would be equally as upset and equally as angered, and I would fight for that cause.
Right.
But we're talking about American history. Right. And we're talking about what is supposed to be the greatest country on earth. And this is the foundation where this was acceptable, where a person who was not a man of the law, who was not a man backed by the government could go and take a life with no questions asked. A black life.
Right.
So the truth is that in this nation, there has not been a value on the black life. So when we come and we fast forward to 2020, my statement, like you said, is not about an organization per se. I'm not taking anything away, and I'm not adding anything to whatever the Black Lives Matter movement is doing, what that organization has done. But this is not what I'm fighting for necessarily. My fight, my anger, my disruption, my frustration, my irritation, all of it is due to the fact that we have constantly had to live in a world where there was not a value placed on the black life. And we've had to accept it. Black people have had to adapt to it. We've had to just accept that we had to drink from a colored only fountain.
Right.
We've had to accept that we had to take the black entrance in the back. We've had to accept that just because of the color of your skin, you sit at the back of the bus.
Right. But black women could nurse white man's babies.
Right.
Cook their food.
Right. Serve.
Yeah.
We were good for entertainment. Jumping around, hopping around like monkeys and playing a drum or whatever they wanted to make them happy. We're good enough for that. And to work the fields. We're good enough for that though. Oh, Massa, want me to play another song, Massa? Like, come on, look. I know it's uncomfortable. I know this is uncomfortable to all my white listeners. I know it's uncomfortable. Because I think there's a part of you in your group of people who feel like, man, did this really happen? Could we have really done this? And it's embarrassing.
It is very,
right?
Should be
and then there's a part who feel like,
that was years ago. I didn't have no slaves.
Right? Why y'all still stuck in the past? Right? Then there's a part of people who feel like, darn Skippy, that's how it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And I wish it could still be like that.
Right. I wish y'all would get back in line.
Get in your place.
So I understand for white America, this is not comfortable.
It's not a comfortable conversation.
But that y'all been comfortable for hundreds of years.
Right.
Y'all been comfortable sitting in the front of the bus. Right. Y'all been comfortable getting better educations. You've been comfortable getting laws passed that are to help the moving forward of your race. You've been comfortable with this reality.
And the reality is that America, the system that we have in America, it was never created with the black person in mind.
Never.
It just wasn't systematically. And everything that has happened up to this point proves that. It proves that.
100%.
It proves that, you know, our race, black people, were not considered.
No. They weren't talking about us when they was writing stuff out.
No. They weren't.
Not
they weren't. And even with it's like, be happy with what we've given you.
Right.
That's how things have been up to this point.
Right.
It's like, you know, it's really, you can't understand it fully if you don't walk around in black skin. Right? So every black person knows that we're not treated equal, that most white people feel like they're better than us, and that is in the heart of many white people.
Right, and when we walk into a space, an environment that is predominantly white, we get the looks of, what are you doing here?
Right. You don't belong here.
Right.
And that is coupled, we call that now white privilege.
Right.
And so I would say to the people who say, well, I didn't own slaves, that was 100 plus years ago, that doesn't have anything to do with me now. You guys have rights now. You guys have equal, it's equal now. All of those things. I would say to them, you may not have owned slaves, but your ancestors did, and you are benefiting from
that disgusting behavior.
Yes.
And that disgusting standard that was
that's what white privilege is.
Right.
And now we have what has been deemed as Karens, where people, white women are calling the police on black people. And harassing black people and lying to authorities, and feel like just because they're white and the person that they have a problem with is black, then they can tell the popo, this black person is here, and just because we're black, they feel like they have the upper hand.
And the worst part about the Karen situation is that the police respond, and they respond on scene aggressively to the black person that's being accused of just being black. So now, with all that said, to support the whole point of why we're here, which is what we're talking about, is understanding and knowing who is for you and who's against you. With all that said, a lot of the motivation for this particular conversation is because, as a result of everything happening right now, a lot of hearts have been exposed
and revealed. Yes,
a lot of hearts and thought processes and
mindsets.
They are on full display. And I'm talking about from black people, Mexican people, Asian people, Christian people, Christian leaders, white Christian leaders, government officials, police officers,
everybody,
spectrum of humanity and mankind in this melting pot of a world that we live in, and of a United States that we live in. Every single heart and mind is on display.
And that is happening because of social media. So now that we have this platform of social media, then everybody has a platform to speak their truth, speak what they believe, respond to what's being posted, all of that. And that creates a reality of how people are feeling about what's happening right now.
And it creates and acknowledges the reality of how you really see me, and what you really think about me as a black woman, or him as a black man, or the black race
as a whole culture, as a race.
Because as a culture, we're accepted. Our black culture is mimicked, it's copied, it's loved by all. They love us in Asia.
Monetized off of.
They love us in Asia. They love us everywhere. The black culture,
because we cool. So, it's one thing to love the culture, but it's a totally different thing to love the people. And I feel, from what I am seeing personally, and then what I'm seeing widespread, that there is a lack of love for the people.
There's a lack of love, there's a lack of compassion, and there's a lack of acknowledgement that we have been wronged.
Right.
There's a lack of acknowledgement that we are not being handled justly. There's a lack
treated justly, because we don't even need to be handled. That's the problem too.
Right.
That people are trying to handle, and it's like a separation. Well, you guys have this. Well, y'all, you know what I'm saying? Instead of us unifying, and there is color. We see color. I see color.
Right.
And I don't have a problem with seeing color because I treat people correctly. I treat people like I want to be treated, and so I see color, and I think it's wonderful. I think it's beautiful.
Well, and I think that God made you that way.
Right.
God does see color.
Right.
He gave us the ability to see color.
Right.
So clearly, color
matters.
It is real.
Right. Yeah.
God didn't give us sight in black and white.
Right.
He didn't give us sight in
just
neutrals.
white, or just in white.
Right.
So color matters, and color is beautiful.
It's okay.
I need color in my world.
Right.
You know what I mean? And not just, through the things that are in my world, but the people that I'm with, who I experience in my life. And it's a beautiful thing. But America, man, we don't see the beauty.
Right.
And so, and particularly, we're talking about white America.
Right. So now, when you're talking about white America, and we're talking about the Ahmaud Arbery's and the George Floyd's and the Breonna Taylors, when we're talking about all of that, we are now having to deal with the response from white America.
Right. Which for most people, we all know white people.
Right.
Like we all have white associates, white friends, white people that you do business with. Listen, the world is white.
Right.
It's not the white men run the world.
Right.
So it's no way that you can live in America and not have any type of contact, any type of experience with white people.
Right.
Right? So I'm not surprised. It's not surprising what the response has been, because it's always been like that. It's always been the undercurrent of, black people are this way. Mm-hmm. There's always been an undercurrent of, we know, and we know for sure, it's not even an if, and, or but, that there is a large percentage of white America that feel like they're better than everybody.
Right.
Right? So then the issue becomes very sensitive when this hits at home, where my white friend that I've known for years, or my white brother or sister that I've worshiped with at church for years, or my white business owner that I've frequented and supported their business for years, that they know my name and I know theirs. When this conversation comes up, you begin to see that they don't believe that Black Lives Matter.
Right.
And that right there, that is where we have to figure out how to navigate.
Well, honestly, for me, I don't even know if it's about figuring out how to navigate.
Right.
I feel like it's more about acknowledging
what it is
and where people are, and then making the necessary adjustments for your own life. Because in life in general, I believe, to succeed in life, you have to know your enemies. You have to know your allies. You have to know who's loyal to you, who you're loyal to. Like, you got to know your world, and you have to know, who's for you and not against you.
Let me ask you this. So within this scenario, this whole thing that's happening right now, where we all, I'm sure everybody listening who is a black person and everybody who's listening who's a white person has been impacted by what's going on and has had to have conversations.
Right.
And so for you, let's say for you personally, within this framework, if a white person that you consider friend, if they are saying all lives matter, what do you do with that? Like, what do you do with that?
I feel like we all have an understanding that all lives matter, first off. So to me, when someone responds to Black Lives Matter with all lives matter, or who won't even acknowledge the saying or the statement or the organization, the movement Black Lives Matter, and their response to everything is all lives matter. I just feel like it's a blatant disrespect and a blatant disregard for the issue at hand. Mm-hmm. And I'm a firm believer that everybody knows what's happening right now.
Right.
And that everybody understands the Black Lives Matter narrative.
Right.
You understand what we're saying. So when you respond, all lives matter, you are on purpose trying to take away from the essence of what the issue is, which is that Black lives have been treated less than. Mm-hmm. Black lives have been taken. Black people have had the misfortunes. Black people have not been afforded the same justices and the same, opportunities. That's obvious. We just talked about the history. We know what America is.
Right.
Anyone that lives in America, you know what it is. You know somebody, mm-hmm. or you are guilty of going on the other side of the street when you saw a black man. You are guilty of seeing a black man coming and locking your doors. You know somebody who has clenched their purse because they saw a black person. You know somebody that looked sideways because you saw black girls in the country club. Like, you know what America is. So for me, at this point, after so many injustices, after so much hurt and pain, after not being able to feel peace when I see a police officer, a peace officer, when I have to feel agitated or, on guard or get my Facebook Live ready because you never know what's going to happen, when I have to live like that, to me, when your response is all lives matter, you're done. I'm not even in a place, and I know people that do. They want to go back and forth on social media. You want to have discussions. Yeah, but you are missing the point. I'm not even there. I'm at a point right now where you show me who you are. Right. I choose to believe it. Right. If you cannot simply acknowledge that Black lives matter. Wow. If you can't take that statement without a but, if you can't provide that statement without a but, if you can't see that, read that without a rebuttal or and.
Even if you can't take that statement without referring to, Soros and, all the political side of it, that might not be all the way right. It's everybody's choice whether you want to engage with that organization per se, but we're that organization. That's that organization. Right. I'm not talking about that.
Right. And you're not.
Yeah.
And they know you're not talking about that. That's my stance.
Right.
You know what this is.
Right.
Y'all know what this is. You have seen the video. You know what this is. George Floyd was killed in broad daylight from a police officer, and he's not the only one. And that police officer was not arrested immediately.
He was just the last straw, yeah.
Right? Breonna Taylor was killed in her own home by police officers who are supposed to protect and serve. She's not the first one.
Right.
And there was no arrest. There was no conviction. Ahmaud Arbery was hunted down in these United States in 2020 by civilians who felt they had the right, they had the audacity to go home, ammo,
get their boys,
get their guns, get their ammo, strap up, and get back in the car and go find him.
And then videotape it.
And question him. Videotape it.
I want to stop right there for a moment, because that is another issue that we see that is just supporting everything that we're telling you, that we're saying as Black women and Black people in America, is that why does a white man feel like he can come up to a Black man who is minding his own business and demand answers?
Demand anything.
Right.
And to have the nerve to say, by him not answering, that he's not compliant.
Right. And that is the essence of...
That is the essence.
The essence of the reality that Black people live in. That anger, white people get angry.
Yep.
They get mad.
Offended.
They feel appalled that you as a Black person dare not answer the question.
And that goes back to the history and the foundation of this country.
And this is happening. Like this is not.
And we're in 2020.
Right. This is not what the slave master. We're not in slave times no more.
Right. But those men felt justified in questioning this black man, and because he didn't give them the answer they were looking for, he did not comply. He wasn't a slave. Okay, he wasn't.
Yes, sir, master. Well, master, I was just taking a job.
Right.
Come on, man.
Right. They felt dignified. And felt like they could take his life.
I this is viral. I don't know if anybody's seen this video, but there was a video of a delivery truck driver, black man, who had delivered some product to someone who's lived in a gated community. On his way out, he was leaving from the drop-off.
Mind you, he was in uniform.
He was in uniform.
He was in a delivery truck.
In a delivery truck. He was trying to...
And he was on his way out.
A white man blocked him in and would not let him leave
until he answered his question.
And the question was, how did you get the gate code?
What are you doing here?
Did you make a wrong turn? You must have made a wrong turn. And so this guy was held up. They called the police on the black man. Just all the nonsense that happens. But the whole point is that the white man felt justified.
He felt he could do that.
And he felt like he could demand that this black man tell him what he was doing.
I'll do one better. Not only did he feel like he could demand, but he felt like the police would back him up in this.
Yeah. So it's a mindset and a mentality that we experience from white people on an everyday basis, right?
Right.
So we have people in our lives, man, that do not understand. But you believe that they understand. You believe that they understand exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they understand what it means to be a black person in America. Of course not. You're not black. You will never get that.
Right.
But they understand the oppression and they understand the privilege.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Period.
And I think the issue comes in when you're not willing to take responsibility, and as my white brother or sister, to take responsibility of knowing that. And then, as a decent human being, having compassion for another human being that you say that you care about and that you love, to show support.
And recognizing that it's wrong.
And acknowledging the wrongs and the injustices.
A lot of people don't because they're benefiting from that mentality.
Right.
Most white people benefit from that mentality, and they're just used to being treated a certain way, getting certain, advantages. They're just used to it. And look, if you're getting free coffee every Friday, you don't want somebody coming and disrupting that, messing with your free coffee. Right? So somebody want to come in and start protesting that the coffee beans aren't natural. Like, dude, go somewhere else. You mess with my free coffee.
Right.
So
disrupting the whole flow.
Right. So when you have all of white America who's privileged, okay, and gets opportunities and things handed to them that the black person in America doesn't,
right.
And now you want to come and shine a spotlight on it, they don't want that.
Right.
And like you said, so now we're in a situation where people I've known for years, I'm seeing, wait a minute, you just completely disregarding my struggle. Wait a second. I'm telling you Black Lives Matter, and you want to say all lives matter. We're talking about a man who was murdered in the street, and you just completely ignore it, and you want to talk about politics.
And not even that, and also then the Blue Lives Matter. Right. As far as the police officers, it's that same rhetoric where we know, like, we're not, nobody's taking away from that. And you know that we're not taking away from that, but you choose to focus in on that instead of focusing in on, you guys, we need to unite. Let's come together. Let's everybody create reform and do the right thing so that these injustices don't keep happening.
Listen,
to black people.
We all know that it's easy to stand with someone and support someone when it's all good.
Yes.
It's easy to support your fellow black people when there ain't no problems.
Right.
But support and banding together and being unified, it's only real when it really matters.
Right.
It doesn't matter that you tell me you for me and I look, hey man, prime example. If you need anything, brother, anytime, let me know. I'm here for you. Hey, I got your back. You my friend. You my friend. You my friend. Then I call you at 1:00 in the morning because I broke down on the side of the street and got a flat tire, and you don't come.
Right.
But you said if I ever needed you.
Right.
But 1:00 in the morning is not convenient when you sleep, showered, resting, so you don't come. The whole point of relationships is that I can call upon you when it's difficult.
Right.
Is that I can ask for your help, and I know you'll be there for me when it's hard, when it's tough, and when it's not convenient.
Yeah.
What do you need somebody for when things are convenient?
You don't need them.
What is loyalty about when loyalty is not even tested and it's not an issue?
Yep.
So right now we're in a situation where
loyalties are being tested.
100%. And guess what? For me, I'm saying, now, I believe a white person wouldn't see it this way. But I'm saying, we're talking about the loyalties being tested for humanity.
Yep.
But a certain group within humanity.
Yes.
And unfortunately, a lot of white people, because these are the ones who've been benefiting. These are the ones that have been causing the problems. We're not talking about black on black crime. We're not talking about, the Mexicans, black and brown. That's not what we're talking about. So that's not the point. We're talking about black people.
Black lives.
And we're talking about the injustices that black people are continuing to get from white people and from people in power positions.
In abusive power. Yes.
So when I say I'm talking about humanity, it is a humanity issue.
Right.
But unfortunately, the white community and a lot of people in the white community refuse to acknowledge it.
Right.
So now, you're in a situation, you're listening, and I'm sure, listen, I believe everybody has had some relationships tested during this time. Everyone.
Yeah.
If you, even some black people talking crazy.
Right.
So I was gonna say, if you have anybody white in your life, but it's not just that. It's people talking crazy from all races. I have close relationships with East Indian people, and some of those people are talking crazy.
Yeah.
Some of those people have shown great support.
Yeah.
So your opposition is coming from every side.
It's all around. It's not just one people group. It's every people group, which means this is a mentality issue and a heart issue that we're dealing with. And so that means that you have to really begin to see who is loyal and who is for you and who is against you. There's no in between. You either are for me or you are against me.
Right? You're part of the problem
or you're part of the solution. That's it. There's no middle ground.
And that's why there's no buts.
Right.
When we say Black Lives Matter, there's no but.
Yeah.
Right? If Asian people getting shot dead in the street,
then Asian lives matter.
We gotta say, hold up. Asian lives matter. What are y'all doing?
Yes.
And I would not come behind that and say, but wait a minute, Black lives matter.
Right.
Wait a minute, all lives matter. Yeah. No, but the problem is here. Right. So in reality, what is happening is that people are continually trying to disregard the issue, the real issue. And they're trying to, like they always have, make little of the African American community and making little of the struggle.
Yep.
And so now, like you said, we keep coming back to this point. So now we're living we're in a situation where people are getting cut off.
Yeah.
I'm in a situation where I'm having to draw lines. Yes. Lines are being drawn in the sand. And I'm looking at you and I'm saying, what side of this line are you on?
Everybody's suspect at this point.
Everybody. I mean, some pastors are losing members.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Some evangelists are losing followings.
Yeah.
Some actors and actresses are losing fans.
Yes. It's true.
Instagram influencers are losing followers.
That some people are losing their contracts.
Endorsements are being lost. Deals are being broken and, amended.
Money's being lost.
Right.
All of that.
And I feel like it's clear that you are either for this cause or you are against it.
And the cause is that people should be treated with respect and with love.
No matter the color of your skin.
No matter the color of your skin.
And that police officers specifically can no longer abuse the badge, abuse the power, and take lives, brutalize people, and really do violent acts to civilians and to citizens who are trying to live their life the best as they can.
Yeah, and really it feels like it's just a legalized game.
Right. So let's be clear. We're not talking about criminals, and honestly, criminals have rights too.
Right, that's still.
So just because somebody a criminal, you get to choke them by the neck, to throw them on the ground, to arrest them? No.
It's the right way to do things, and it's the wrong way to do things. It's a right way to handle people, and then there's a wrong way to handle people.
And if you have anything to say other than that, if you have any comment other than that, and recognizing that, something's wrong. Something's off. Like, let's keep it all the way 100. Yeah. I got friends on Facebook. We just gonna call it out. I got friends on Facebook talking crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, really? That's what you have to say?
That's right.
That's what you think about the situation? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. People I've known for years. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And it's not until certain things happen to where certain things can be exposed. I remember something Mike Murdoch said. He said, time will reveal what interrogation cannot. So that means you can ask all the right questions.
And give all the right answers.
Right.
But the heart of the man and of that issue is not revealed.
Not necessarily revealed.
At that moment.
But let time go by and let the proper scenario happen that didn't happen 10 years ago.
Right.
Let the right situation happen, or just the wrong situation. Right. Boom. Now we can locate you. I asked you all the questions and I thought I knew, but only through time, only through circumstance sometimes can the true heart of somebody be revealed. And hearts are being revealed.
Right.
And my response to it is not hate.
No.
My response to it is not anger.
No.
My response to the injustice is anger.
Right.
But not to the person.
People. Right.
Like, I want to be clear. I respect the badge.
Right.
And I respect the office of our government. I respect order.
Yes.
I respect all of it. Our leaders, we may not like them.
Yeah.
All of them, all the time. But I respect the place that they have been given, the position they have been given, and what they are here to do.
Right.
And without order, it would be chaos and mayhem, pandemonium, right? So I'm not talking about that. I have the utmost respect for police officers, but they don't have the utmost respect for all human beings.
Right. And so then when we talk about our space and we talk about life in our day-to-day, in our world, it's important that you have people in your life that you know are for you.
That's right.
You know, there's some things that you can give people a pass on.
Right.
But then there's certain things that you just don't get a pass on. You just don't get a pass on. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it's nothing wrong with having a standard in your life and saying, this is what I expect from the people in my world and in the relationships that I have. And I'm talking more so personal relationships. Mm-hmm. You know, it's okay to have that standard. And I think that within the framework of the protesting and everything that's going on right now, the pandemic, all of that, it really is revealing hearts. And you have to love yourself enough to say, listen, I can't allow that in my space.
Right.
Like, I can't allow a person to be in my space that hates me.
Right. Or who doesn't value my life. Who doesn't value, like, or care how I'm treated.
And even more importantly than that too, they don't value human life.
Right.
And I know it sounds harsh, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth. Like, you don't value human life. And the fact that you have a friend and you have people that are black that you say you care about and that you love, and you're not willing to support. You know, support comes in many ways. It doesn't always have to be protesting. It doesn't always have to be, you know, giving money. It's a conversation. It's like I've had people of different races and friends that I love and care about who are white and of other nationalities. During this whole process, they've called me, they've texted me, they said, are you okay? Like, just showing support and care. And for me personally, that's my world. That's what my world has to be. It has to be, surrounded with life and with love and people that give that. And, at the end of the day, with all of this happening and these hearts being revealed, you just learn and you know how to carry people in your life, where to place them, what category to place them in. Some people might get cut off.
Right.
Some people will no longer be in your inner circle. Some people you may no longer do business with. I don't know, just whatever the boundaries are that have to be set, just know that it's okay to set them. And that doesn't mean that you don't love them.
And then also, this situation is a spark. But I just encourage, all of our listeners, this goes beyond this scenario.
Right.
This is about your future. This is about your productivity. This is about how you see yourself, like you said. Mm-hmm. And really examine and look at the people in your world. Mm-hmm. And ask yourself, are they for me? Are they against me? Do they want to see me do well? Do they want to see me on top? Because some people can be around you and they just really don't want you on top.
They're jealous.
Like, they don't want you on top. They don't want you to get there.
They'll never say it.
Never.
It's in their hearts. It's inside their souls.
Yep.
And they'll never say it.
But I can guarantee you there have been signs. There have been things. And you have to love yourself enough to draw that line.
Yeah.
And say, wait a second. These behaviors are not the behaviors of someone that's on my team. These are not the behaviors of my booster club.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My cheerleaders, that's not how we roll. Why are those things being said, or why are those actions taking place? What's going on here? Examine your relationships. Mm-hmm. Know who's for you and who's against you, because we believe that everybody has purpose.
That's right.
We believe that everybody has a destiny to fulfill and that you have something to give to humanity and mankind. And when you have people around you who don't want to see you do well, it's an invisible weight that you don't even realize you're carrying. It's slowing you down. It's holding you back. You going to them trying to get encouragement and they can't even encourage you.
They can't even fix their mouths too. And the good thing about it, being a person of purpose, you got to get to a place where you don't even require encouragement. I don't need nobody's encouragement.
Right.
I'm good.
But I'm saying you in my space.
But yeah. But I'm saying I'm good regardless, right?
Right.
But the people in your world, you need to be for me.
In your world. Not in the world.
Right.
In your world.
In your world.
Right.
So even with all this going on with the brutality and all the things that are happening, I'm going to be fine. I'm fine. You're going to be fine. My life is not going to be stopped. My productivity is not going to be held up because of all the injustices.
Right.
Because I refuse that,
right.
And I'm not focused on that.
Right. We're not living with any kind of a weight on our shoulders.
No.
Okay.
No.
We're not living in the past.
Peace. I'm at peace. I'm at peace even in the midst of all this chaos. Everything that's going on. Black people are strong.
That's right.
And if your spirit is strong, then you're strong. And God can give you peace in the midst of the storm and in the midst of the injustice, in the midst of this. Honestly, this has been the most intense situation I have had to work through emotionally, in the sense of just how disgusting and how evil and how the monstrosity of what is happening,
and how careless and how unempathetic
and unresponsive
people have been.
Yeah.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
That's been hard for me, personally. I'm looking at things and then I'm looking at the response and I'm just like,
or the lack thereof,
because then some people say silence is violence. Being silent is just as bad. And I'm looking at some of these moments and I'm just like, man, that can hurt. That's hurtful in itself if you let it be. These realities are hurtful. These realities are sad. These realities are ugly.
You know what? And the real talk is real talk. The only person that you can trust 100% that's never changing, that's always on your team, that'll say your life matter and that Black Lives Matter, that everything. The only person that you can always depend on is God, Jesus. That's it. There's nobody else. Everybody else.
Talking about say his name. That's the name we need to be saying.
Say his name, Jesus.
Right.
George Floyd, yes, but ultimately we get down to the core of this thing.
Because he's the one that's going to keep you.
He's the one that's keeping us. Yeah. I mean, even within the slavery days, they hung to the goodness and the grace of God, even when they were in such pain. Yeah. So at the end of the day, we don't need people.
You don't need nobody's validation. You don't need anybody to care. Right. Not really. Not really.
We should, and that's very, very, very important. Mm-hmm. But if we get to the core of it, and it ends up being that you have nobody, you will always have God.
Right.
You will always have, the love of God, the peace of God. And I really challenge everybody within this scenario is it's important just to seek God, to get peace from God, to get instruction and strategy from God on how you need to navigate through all of this.
Right. And
your relationship. Yeah.
And to look around in your world. Right. Again, we're talking about your world. Everybody has their own world. Mm-hmm. Okay? You got your own world going on. Yep. And people on the outside only know so much. Right. You're only involved so much. But look at your world around you and look at people close to you. Yep. And I just really, really want to press the issue. Know who is for you and know who is against you. Just because they're smiling in your face and they show up to your event and they look at your lives.
They pack you up, they give you likes.
Right, like your photos.
Pat you on the back.
Right, that does not mean that they are for you. And, in a time like this, we can't ignore the hearts of people. Mm-hmm. You just can't ignore these heartless responses. Mm-hmm. We just cannot ignore these careless responses. Mm-hmm. We cannot ignore these responses that try to make light of or compare. No, it's a simple thing.
It really is, man. Like, everybody tries to make it deeper than it needs to be. The bottom line, the bottom line is that nobody should fear for their lives when they're dealing with the police.
That's right.
That's the bottom line.
And nobody should feel like another people group can create problems or disharm just because of the color of their skin and make things in your life difficult or even take your life. Right. No. And that's what's been happening.
Yeah. And enough is enough.
That's right.
And you don't. It's one thing when things are happening in the world.
Right.
Like the system is flawed. We know. Everybody knows the system, the American system, the justice system, it's all flawed as it relates to how it carries Black people, and it's flawed.
Right.
That's the world. But then you have some control over that, how you vote, the different things that we can do to help.
And we encourage you to do.
Right, that we do to create reform and make things better as far as laws and things like that are concerned. But then you have your world, which consists of the people in your life and in your day-to-day and all of that. And you can fill your world with beauty and with beautiful people.
That's right.
There's no reason why you have to live in your world and accept abuse.
That's right. And I want to say too, as we get ready to end this episode, just to encourage, like, change can come.
Yes.
And in a world that's full of turmoil and there's so much happening right now. I mean, you're talking about protesting in Los Angeles, New York, Minneapolis, South Carolina, North Carolina, Arizona.
All 50 states.
All 50 states. And then in addition, New Zealand, Tokyo, Canada, Montreal. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. South Africa. That's happening. Mm-hmm. And I just want, our listeners to know that in the midst of all this craziness, change is happening. Mm-hmm. The protests are not in vain.
Right.
We're not there yet, right? we're climbing, but there are some things that have transpired as a result of, the protesting and the things that are happening. And I just want to kind of go over a couple of them. And there's so much more, but these are just some things, that I've looked up and that I found out about that have happened within about 10 days of protesting, sustained protests. Minneapolis has banned the use of chokeholds. The charges against the officer were upgraded, and he is now facing second-degree murder when he was being charged with third-degree murder. Originally, his accomplices, the other officers that were present, had not been arrested. They've been arrested and charged. Dallas has adopted a duty to intervene rule that requires officers to stop other officers who are engaging in inappropriate use of force. Because I think some people were kind of like feeling like they couldn't engage.
Right.
Because it was a fellow officer, or maybe it's even a superior. But now, this has been put in place where it's like, if it's unlawful, that they will back you up in intervening. It wasn't happening before.
No.
New Jersey's Attorney General said that the state will update its use of force guidelines, and that has not been updated in 2 decades, 20 years. So those are just a few of the changes. There have been changes made in Los Angeles. Their operating budgets have been reduced.
Right.
Maryland, have announced some different reform and groups that are going to be getting involved with lawmaking. Police brutality, now that has been captured on camera, has led to some immediate suspensions.
Wow.
And firing of officers in several cities.
That's good.
So the crazy part is they've had this footage,
right,
and nothing has been done.
Yeah.
Now you're telling me.
Yeah, and it's because you have to raise your voice, and you have to fight for your freedoms.
Right.
Whether it's in the natural, what we're talking about, your own personal freedom.
Right.
You got to fight for that. That stuff, the only thing that's free is Jesus. And then after that, you got to work with God, and so we have to consistently fight for that freedom.
That's right.
And the reality is that what's going on systematically, change can occur, and things can get better. But I just want to also encourage everyone not to stop. People who feel like, your place is protesting and reforming the law and all of those different things. It's a long distance marathon.
Yeah,
this is not something that will change overnight, because the problem wasn't created overnight. I just want to give just some examples. Like the Montgomery bus boycott lasted 382 days. The Freedom Rides lasted 7 months.
Wow.
The Greensboro sit-ins lasted 6 months. The Birmingham movement lasted 37 days. So keep fighting for what you believe in.
Yes.
Don't stop. Just don't stop.
Don't get weary.
Yeah, don't get weary of well-doing. And I'm saying this for your personal life as well.
It's good.
Don't give up. That the people before us who did these marches, who did these sit-ins, that some were arrested, some died, lives were lost, but there was reform. They weren't in the fields anymore. Certain changes did happen, and so fight for your life.
That's right. I mean, we're talking about on a natural level, biblical level.
Yes.
For change to come, for the gospel to be preached.
Right.
There were sacrifices that had to be made.
Yes.
And so we encourage, like you're saying, don't be afraid to make those sacrifices in your world. Don't be afraid to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Don't let up.
No.
Press.
You
push.
can't.
Fight. Don't accept no for an answer.
No.
If you have a dream, you have a cause, you have a destiny, you have something that you're trying to do, don't take no for an answer. You know what I mean? That last no could be your last no before you get your yes.
Right.
Don't let up.
No.
And even in this situation, we can't let up.
No.
I've gone out and I've protested, you know what I mean?
While social distancing, by the way.
Social distancing.
No, we don't play that.
Wearing my gloves and my mask and
10 feet away. Yeah.
That's right. Keeping my space, but doing my part, because I believe it's not right. And what I can do, I will do. And spoken my piece, and I'll continue to speak my piece. And in the same regard, do what you need to do for your life.
For your life. And
fight for your freedom.
Your freedom.
You know what I mean? If that's freedom from, your job, that's freedom from your living situation, freedom in your finances, whatever the case might be.
Your body.
This is so much bigger than this scenario, but this is the scenario at hand. Right? And then your life is important.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Your world is
the most important thing.
Your purpose is important. Your dream is important. Your contribution to society. Because I believe that when people are born, every person is given something special. And they're given something that no one else has. Everybody has something that no one else has, because that's what makes you you. And the world needs what you have.
That's right.
Your family needs what you have. Your job needs what you have. We're all special, and you don't need to back down in any shape or form.
Push.
And if you're looking around and you're trying to push, and there's people in your world that ain't supporting your push, draw your line.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to draw your line.
Oh, man.
This line, we're in a time now where the line can't be blurred.
No way.
The line can't be invisible.
No, your life is not a joke, and it's too important. It's too important to allow nothing. We don't let anything slide. I don't let it slide, because your life has value. So if people in your world are not respecting who you are, if they're not respecting your life, if they're not bringing anything and adding anything to the situation, it's no point.
It's no point. Look, we love y'all, man.
And white people, we love y'all too.
Right. We love everybody. Don't get it twisted.
No, we're just talking.
And we're just
real,
discussing the issue at hand. Like, stop it. Don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
No.
Don't do it, Karen, all y'all listening. Don't do it. Y'all know what time it is. We love everybody.
Yeah.
We sisters, we girls. Sister girl. Okay?
Sister girl.
We love all of y'all. But, we got to talk about what's happening right now. We got to talk about things that are uncomfortable to talk about. We gotta have these dialogues. We gotta open it up, and we gotta stop sweeping this stuff under the rug. And if you're listening, do your part. Don't be silent. Don't stand on the sidelines. Don't hide in the shadows. Don't think that you're supporting the cause because you got a black friend. That's not how this works.
And let me tell you something, white people, I'm just gonna give you guys a piece of advice. This is not the time.
It's not.
Like, act right. Y'all need to act right out there in these streets.
Say that again.
This is not the time. Act right out in these streets.
Listen, if you in the car and you see a black man trying to get that parking space right now, just give it to him. Just keep on driving.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Like, it's just not the time.
You at the crib, your music, you got a black neighbor and their music is loud. Don't call security.
Okay.
Just be easy.
Just let it go. It's
let
not
it go.
Time.
It's not. I promise you. I promise you. I'm just telling you. We love y'all.
We really do. We love you. We want to see you be everything that you desire to be and that God desires for you to be. We want to see reform. We want to see change. We want to stop the injustice. We want to see equality. We want to see humane acts from our law enforcement.
It's crazy that we haven't been talking
about this. Lord knows we can't handle nothing else. I mean, we're trying to get out of the pandemic. Now y'all in these streets protest. We can't handle nothing else. Everybody act right. That's my petition to you as we end this episode. Just do right. Do right.
Treat people like you want to be treated.
Right. Let's not
have some grace
play
and
dumb.
mercy. Yeah.
Don't tell people they're playing a race card.
No.
It's real.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Acknowledge it. Accept it. Respect it. Do your part to help change it, or just don't be one of them. Just
remove yourself from the conversation.
Right.
That's even better than you to say something silly and say something that is non-productive to what the cause is.
Insensitive.
Which is people mattering and people being loved and being human.
Because the truth is that a black woman who has a black son, the moment he walks out the door, she's concerned for that son every time.
Yeah, and it's nothing but the grace of God and the peace of God that keeps and that doesn't cause it to stay in you.
When black people walk away clean from being pulled over by the cops, it's a blessing and the grace of God. That's what it's been.
When they walk by, when they leave alive, when they make it home.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Right.
So, if you have no understanding of what's going on,
which I don't believe,
right? But if you're using that as an excuse, just don't say anything. Just remove yourself.
Or if you just don't get it.
Yeah.
You would do better having a moment with a black brother or sister and just saying, "Can I talk to you for a second? I'm gonna be honest. I don't get it.
I don't see it.
I don't see it. Don't disregard and take away the validity of it, but just be honest and say you trying to understand. Try to understand.
Because even that's respectable. We can respect that.
I can respect that. Black people, listen, we're very forgiving.
Yeah.
We're very understanding. We're very welcoming. Y'all know it to be true.
Yeah.
Everybody listening, you know it's true. We're so accepting. We're loving. We will adopt you into our families in a heartbeat. Invite you over for dinner. Give you the clothes off our back. Feed you something to eat. That's just how we are.
Right.
So we don't need your judgment.
No.
Right now, we just need understanding and we need compassion. The black community needs love and support. Because we need to get through this as a nation and as a people. We can't keep going on like this. It's not okay, America.
Get your hearts right. You got to get your heart right.
It's not okay. Examine yourself. Just like we're telling you to look at your friends, your relationships, examine your own heart. Ask yourself some tough questions on how you really feel about stuff. Listen to yourself and what's coming out your mouth. You might listen to yourself and hear, I'm being a little racist.
Right. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. That didn't even sound, did I just say that? Listen to yourself and listen to your fellow man and do your part. Do what you can do.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for listening in, for, caring, all of you guys out there that are working towards what we're doing and reform and change. Black lives do matter. And yes, all lives do matter. We all know that. We're talking about black lives.
That's right.
So that's all we have today for Conversations at the Compound. We'll see you guys on the next one. Be safe out there. Keep on keeping on.
We love you. Leave it alone, 'cause this life